Hi everybody. In today's lesson we're going to work with the equation d equals m over v, and I'm going to show you some general good practices when working with any kind of equation. To start out with, I want to point out the directions. When you complete this assignment, I want to make sure that you follow all parts of the directions. So it says for each problem, create and fill in a mass, volume, and density chart as shown right down here. So for example, in question 2, we'll need to make a little chart. Okay, so make the chart. Then it says solve the generic equation d equals m over v for the correct variable following the steps that we discussed in class. And then finally, we always want to round answers to the correct number of significant figures and include labels with all final answers. Alright, we're going to do a couple of these together here just so that you get in the flow of things. Question number 1 says gold is a precious metal that is chemically unreactive. Because it's unreactive, this is why we use it in things like jewelry, dentistry, and electronic devices. A piece of a gold ingot with a mass of 301 grams has a volume of 15.6 cubic centimeters, and it wants us to calculate the density of gold. So I can fill in this mass, volume, and density chart right down here. So we've got a mass of 301 grams. We've got a volume of 15.6 cubic centimeters. Remember, a cubic centimeter is the same thing as a milliliter, and it wants us to find the density of gold. Now again, following the directions, it wants us to work with the generic equation d equals m over v first. Now we're trying to find density right here, so we don't need to do anything to rearrange this. We would just now put another equal sign, and now we just plug in the information from our table over here. So it's going to be 301 grams in the numerator, and it's going to be divided by 15.6 cubic centimeters in the denominator. And when you take out your calculator and you type in 301 divided by 15.6, you get a calculator answer of 19.29. Now I strongly encourage you to write down the calculator answer and do your rounding right here on this paper. In order to round to significant figures, we go back to the source information and we need to round to the one that has the fewer number of significant figures, because we would apply the rule for multiplication and division here since this is division. So this has 3 sig figs, this has 3 sig figs. So we want to draw our rounding bar after the third significant figure. And so the final answer for the density of gold is 19.3 grams per cubic centimeter. Final answer rounded to the correct number of significant figures and including units right there. Alright, we'll do 2 more together. So this one's about mercury. Mercury is a toxin. The density of mercury, the only metal that is liquid at room temperature, is 13.6 grams per mil. Calculate the mass of 5.5 milliliters of the liquid. So it tells us that the density right here is 13.6 grams per mil. And it also tells us right here that we've got a volume of 5.5 milliliters. A lot of students will see mass right here and think that this is a mass, but the given units are milliliters, so we know that this is a volume. So the volume is 5.50 mil. We are trying to calculate the mass, so question mark right up there. Okay, like the directions say, we want to work with the generic equation d equals m over v first and rearrange to solve for the missing variable. So we work with d equals m over v. I need to get mass by itself. What's currently being done to mass? We're dividing by volume. What's the opposite of division by volume? It's multiplication by volume. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. I like to put a semicolon to separate mathematical thoughts, so now I have m equals d times v. Now I just put another equal sign, and I'm going to plug in the appropriate numbers and units from right over here. So I've got a density of 13.6 grams per mil. I've got a volume of 5.50 mils. You can see the milliliters cancel us out, leaving us with only grams. Grams are the appropriate unit of measurement for mass. So the mass from the calculator is going to be 74.8 grams. Now we check significant figures. We've got 3 significant figures. That's an ending 0 and a number with a decimal, so it's significant, and 3 significant figures. So we've got 3 significant figures, which is what we want. All right, we'll do this last one. The density of methanol, which is a poisonous liquid also known as wood alcohol, is 0.7918 grams per mil, and it wants us to calculate the volume, so we're looking for volume. Calculate the volume of 17.4 grams of the liquid. So I've got D, M, V. It says calculate the volume. The mass is 17.4 grams. The given density is 0.7918 grams per mil. Again, following the directions, I want you to work with the generic equation. D equals M over V first. Remember, whereas it only takes one step to rearrange and solve for mass, it's going to take 2 steps to rearrange and solve for volume. The first step is to repeat what we did up above, because we need to get volume out from underneath. So I now have M equals D times V. Now again, I want to get volume by itself. I want to solve for volume. I ask myself, what's currently being done to volume? It's being multiplied by density. How do I undo multiplication by density? By dividing by density. You can see the cancellation. I've got volume equals mass over density. Now, I just take the information from my organized table right over here. So I've got 0.7918 grams per mil divided by, oops, I made a mistake there. Come on. Okay, I'm going to cross this out. This wasn't cooperating. Okay, the mass is in the numerator. It's 17.4 grams divided by that density, which is 0.7918 grams per mil. So the calculator answer for volume is going to be 21.97. We check our significant figures, 4 and 3, we rounded the smaller one because we're applying the rule for multiplication and division. So I put the rounding bar after the third sig fig. Final answer is going to be 22.0 mils. Sorry, that last one got messy. Okay, so these are the steps that I want you to follow for this particular worksheet. So you've got a front, and then also notice you've got a back on this as well. All right, thanks a lot. See you guys soon.